If you are trying to discover the purpose of your life, God has given you His Word through the Bible to help you do that. To find God's will for your life, you need to rid yourself of the things that hinder you from fulfilling it. Here are 7 mistakes that Christians make when trying to discover God's plan for their lives. 1. Not asking God to reveal His will. Have you ever been in a situation where you wondered if God was trying to tell you something, but you were too afraid to ask Him? Have you had one of those thoughts that you pushed to the back of your mind and hoped would disappear? Please don't make that mistake. God is always willing to help you, and you need to ask for His guidance. But here's the catch. You have to ask and then trust. How often do we find ourselves at crossroads, internally debating which path to choose, without turning to the most reliable source of guidance? In moments of indecision and uncertainty, it is crucial to remember that we are not alone. The first step may seem the hardest, simply asking God to reveal His will. Lewis says, God will not leave us without guidance. We are very willing to listen, however, we are often very reluctant to obey. The act of asking is an invitation to a deeper and more confident relationship with God, where true guidance is revealed, strengthening our faith. In Proverbs 3, we are advised, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Trust fully and He will guide us. So do not let fear or hesitation prevent you from asking the most important question. Lord, what is your will for my life? Ask that question, and you will open the doors to a new destiny, where every step is guided by God's sure hand. Remember, the key is in asking, and most crucially, in trusting the answer. It is a pilgrimage toward a closer and more confident relationship with the Creator. 2. Not giving God time to answer. When you ask God to reveal His will, it may not happen immediately. It may take years or even decades for His promises to be fulfilled. In our quest for God's will, we often expect quick and clear answers. But God's timing is not our timing. Patience is indeed an essential component of faith. Waiting for God's guidance is an exercise in trust and submission, a reminder that we are not in control. But there is a greater and more perfect plan being woven, even if we don't see it. Lewis, in exploring the nature of time and divine patience, wrote, "The future is something which everyone reaches at the rate of 60 minutes an hour, whatever he does, whoever he is. Each moment is a piece of the great mosaic of our life, carefully placed by God, with a purpose that we often only understand later." The example of Abraham is one of the most powerful about waiting on the Lord. In Genesis 17, when God promises a son to Abraham, already at 99, and to Sarah, barren at 90, the promise seems beyond belief. However, this decade-long wait for the fulfillment of God's promise, culminating in the birth of Isaac, reinforces the message that God is faithful and fulfills His promises, but in His own time. But the Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. So as you wait for God's answers, remember that waiting is not an empty space to be filled with anxiety. It is a space to be filled with preparation and growth. God is working, even if we don't see the fruits immediately. 3. They listen to other voices instead of God. In a world filled with noise and incessant voices, finding God's voice can seem like a Herculean task. The opinions of others, social demands, and even our own expectations can drown out the gentle whisper with which God often speaks to our hearts. It is crucial, then, to learn to distinguish these voices and focus on the one that truly guides and brings peace. You know that phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me"? It's not true. Words hurt, and if you pay attention to what you're saying, you'll realize you're actually hurting yourself. In today's world, people are surrounded by many voices. We have thousands of voices clamoring for us to listen to them. Unfortunately, many of these voices distract us from hearing God's voice. C.S. Lewis touches on this point insightfully in his writings, highlighting the importance of being attentive to external influences. In one of his reflections, he observes, "It is what comes out of a man that defiles him. It is dangerous to allow external voices to shape our inner selves, to the detriment of the inner voice, the one that echoes divine truth. The Bible offers clear guidance on how we should proceed amid so many voices. In John 10:27, Jesus says, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." This verse not only reinforces the importance of listening to God, but also assures us that, as His sheep, we are capable of recognizing His voice among many others. When you find yourself surrounded by multiple voices clamoring for your attention, take a pause and ask yourself, am I listening to the voice that truly matters? Seeking moments of silence and reflection can help you tune in to God's voice, which always seeks to guide you to paths of peace and truth. How can you today lower the volume of distractions and amplify the voice that guides and comforts? 4. Lack of faith to take a leap of faith. Taking a leap of faith is like walking on water on a starless night. You know the direction, but you can't see the path. This act of trust transcends immediate understanding and challenges us to move beyond the comfort of the known. Fear of the unknown is natural, but it should not be a hindrance when we feel the call to move forward. C.S. Lewis, in his Reflections on Faith and Doubt, once said, "Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has accepted, despite your changing moods." We need to stand firm in what we know to be true, even when our emotions are unstable and the path ahead seems uncertain. The story of the rich young ruler, as narrated in Mark 10, is a powerful illustration of the struggle between the desire to follow Christ and the attachment to earthly securities. Jesus challenged him to take a leap of faith, to abandon his riches in exchange for treasure in heaven. The young man's inability to give up what he possessed reflects a divided heart, not yet ready to fully surrender to the faith that called him to a life of fullness in Christ. True faith calls us to look beyond human limitations and believe in divine providence. Each leap of faith is an opportunity to witness the transformative power of God in our lives. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to so tightly that is hindering my walk with God? Consider what may need to be left behind to more fully follow Christ. How can you strengthen your faith to take this next crucial step? 5. They don't trust God in all areas of their lives. Trusting God is an exercise in total surrender, not selectivity. It's easy to trust when the sea is calm, the sky clear, and all is well. But the true measure of faith is revealed in storms, when waves threaten and the sky darkens. Trusting God in all areas of our lives means acknowledging that He is sovereign not only in moments of joy, but also in times of challenge and uncertainty. If you've seen other videos here on the channel, you know that C.S. Lewis went through terrible situations in his life, and because of that, he could find strength in God. And then he writes, "We never find the true faith until we find it necessary." Lewis's observations suggest that our faith is more deeply formed and strengthened in moments when we are compelled to rely entirely on God, in times when other aids fail. The commandment to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, as expressed in Matthew 22:37, shows a comprehensive and unconditional trust. This comprehensive love and trust are fundamental to a faith that permeates every aspect of life, not just the areas where we feel comfortable or secure. 6. They refuse to follow Jesus because they don't think it will benefit them. Following Jesus is a choice that goes beyond the calculation of immediate gains and losses. Often, the journey with Christ is seen through the lens of personal sacrifice and renunciations, but it is essential to realize that true freedom and fulfillment lie in aligning our lives with His. Finding Jesus is discovering the freedom to live not only for oneself, but for a greater and more transformative purpose. C.S. Lewis, in his work Mere Christianity, speaks about the paradoxical nature of following Jesus. Lose your life and you will save it. Lewis reminds us that while it may seem like we are giving up a lot to follow Christ, in reality, we are gaining much more in depth, purpose, and true joy. Jesus' invitation in John 14:12, "If you believe in me, you will do what I have been doing," is not just a call to replicate His miracles, but primarily to adopt His way of love, service, and self-sacrifice. This reveals an invitation to personal transformation and collective impact, indicating that our greatest fulfillment comes not from following our own plans, but from aligning ourselves with His. So if you find yourself hesitant to follow Jesus for fear of losing your own way, consider the invitation to a life of broader significance. Following Jesus is not a limitation, but the expansion of our truest possibilities. How can you today let go of your reservations and embrace the freedom that comes from living according to Christ's teachings? Remember, in Christ, we find not only a guide, but also the path to true freedom and fulfillment. 7. They don't share their struggles with others. The journey to understand God's will is often marked by struggles and uncertainties. The pressure to maintain a facade of perfection can be overwhelming, but it's crucial to remember that true strength is found in vulnerability. Sharing our struggles is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous step towards healing and growth. By opening our hearts, we discover that our battles are universal and that mutual support is essential. C.S. Lewis, in his letters, often encouraged his readers to share their difficulties with others. He believed that friendship is born at the moment when one person says to another, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." This quote from Lewis underscores the importance of supportive communities where we can freely express ourselves and receive the encouragement needed to face our challenges. The Bible is filled with examples of figures who shared their struggles. In Galatians 6:2, Paul instructs, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." This verse not only calls us to share our hardships, but also to support one another, fulfilling the commandment of brotherly love. It's time to break down the barriers of isolation and open up about your struggles. In doing so, you not only lighten your own load, but also allow others to find courage in your honesty. How can you begin to share your struggles constructively today? Remember, in each sharing, there is an opportunity to strengthen not only yourself, but also the community around you. As we reflect on the 7 mistakes Christians make when trying to discover God's plan for their lives, we are reminded that our faith journey is filled with lessons and opportunities to grow closer to God. Each of these mistakes points to a fundamental truth: our need to develop a deep and confident relationship with the Creator. From openly asking for His will to the courage to share our struggles with others, every step we take toward a more authentic and dependent faith brings us closer to the heart of God. The journey to discover God's plan for our lives is not made of immediate answers or easy paths, but of a continuous commitment to seek, trust, and obey the Lord in all circumstances. Therefore, I encourage you to reflect on these mistakes not as failures, but as reminders to realign our hearts and minds with God. May this video serve as an invitation for you to examine your own life of faith. Recognize where you may be hesitant to fully surrender, and take conscious steps to strengthen your relationship with God. Remember, the path to understanding divine will is a journey of constant dialogue with God, learning in His Word, and communion with the community of faith. May each step you take be guided by the light of God's truth and the comfort of His eternal love. May you find courage, wisdom, and strength in the certainty that even in moments of doubt and challenge, God is with you, guiding every step of the way.
you.